Welcome again to Wrestling Wednesdays. I am delighted to have this week's guest, the Glamour Mariah May. I had the pleasure of being at her debut match a couple of years ago at Hustle against one of my favourites, Nina Samuels, and I'm delighted to have a chance to chat to you today. It's a real pleasure. I've been so excited watching your career since then, and I cannot wait to come and see you again in person when I get the chance, especially with the fun rivalry you've got going at Rev Pro at the moment, which we'll have to get into a little bit later with a bit of MAR, which I'm very excited about talking about. So welcome to This is Wrestling Films Wrestling Wednesdays.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. And I completely forgot you came to my debut. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was great. I just got back from it's one of my best mates and me had been to the Royal Rumble in Phoenix, and we just got back.
So did I.
Yeah, I remember seeing it on social media.
Just got back too.
Yeah, and the thing was, he's from Enfield, so I was like, oh, this person's got her first match. I wouldn't mind going to see it. You're in Enfield. Do you want to go with me? So we had a great time. We'd never been to a Hustle show before that. So yeah, it was a really good fun day. It was an interesting battle royal before your match, but yeah, we were there to see you, and as I say, it was a hell of an opponent for your first one.
Yeah, definitely no pressure there. It was a really cool debut match. Yeah.
And how do you feel going into, obviously thinking back to it? How were you feeling getting ready for that? Obviously, you'd been training, but how were you? Butterflies?
Oh my gosh. Yes, like it's crazy because obviously I've wanted to be a wrestler since I was a kid. And I feel like it's one of those things that everyone wants to be a wrestler or like a footballer or something crazy. And you never think you'll actually do it. And so I actually didn't get too much notice before because I'd already booked the Rumble in. Otherwise, I would never have booked going to America. And I got back just a few days before my debut. I would never have booked that. But it was all booked. I had no idea I was going to debut and that the show was even happening. And it was just one of those moments that you don't ever think will happen. And then suddenly it is happening. And I just remember maybe a mix of jet lag and nerves. The night before, I hardly slept. I just lay awake and I just had butterflies and I just couldn't stop thinking about the match. And it was just crazy. And then on the actual day, I didn't feel nervous. I feel like I was just so nervous. I was just numb to everything. I just felt you know what I mean? It was just so crazy. It was actually happening. And then as I was behind the curtain and my music hit, suddenly the nerves were there. And I was like, oh, okay. There are the butterflies that I've been waiting for. But yeah, it was just kind of just a crazy experience because I didn't know what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, the thing you've dreamt about since you were 4 years old is happening. And against Nina Samuels too, which was amazing. And yeah, it was just an incredible experience. And it was the start of my journey, really, because once you get onto shows, that's when it really does begin for you and you start to grow as a wrestler and become the glamour and become all these things that I am now that you never become in training. You just have to do shows to kind of get on that journey, really.
Yeah. And was it the hustle, the training side of things? Is that where you started off?
Yeah, so I've trained at a few different places. I also trained at Knuckle Locks, which I think has rebranded since. I'm not sure what they're called now, but I trained around a few different places in London. Yeah.
Oh, and that experience, obviously, you gain loads of knowledge from different people and working with different people. So, as I say, when you first came out, we wouldn't have guessed you had nerves. It was quite, you were excited when you came out and you worked the crowd, you're high-fiving your way around everyone. So, obviously, I really enjoyed it, and it was, it was brilliant to travel. And obviously, Nina's always great to see wrestle. So. I'm pleased. I believe you had a revenge match with her at some point with Hustle, didn't you, as well?
Yes, I did, and I lost again because she cheated. But just before the pandemic, I did finally beat her at Southwest Wrestling. So that was pretty cool. And that was actually one of my favorite matches. So I felt like it was really symbolic because she was obviously my debut. And I'm really proud of my debut and stuff. But of course, as you start to have more matches, you watch your old ones back and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So I felt like from that match all the way to the one I had just before the pandemic against her, I was a different wrestler. You could still see the Mariah in me and you could still see that, but I just grown and matured so much. And I beat her too, so.
It's important. She's a cheeky wrestler when you see her perform. Mm-hmm. She seems to steal some wins, but I don't know. I won't get into an argument with her, so I'll leave it there. But you mentioned it yourself in terms of your career and your character growing. Obviously, I've not had the chance to see you live that often in the last couple of years with not traveling the same, but watching you online, it's been interesting seeing sometimes you that heel persona kind of coming out, and then obviously there's a little bit of a little bit different side to you, and it's great. It's nice to see that sort of versatility that you've got there. How have you found that in terms of that side of your development, in terms of finding more about what do you like performing?
Do you know what? I like doing both. When I like started wrestling, I was always a baby face, apart from one occasion where I got to be heel, which was very fun. But yeah, like I've always been babyface, and people would always say like, "You're a babyface, really?" Because they just thought I just looked like such a mean girl, I guess. I don't know. But I liked it because I feel like it's the best way to learn is to be babyface, and it's easier. You can just think about the match a little bit more, and the heel will help you, and they'll lead you through it. So I think it is the best way to learn, and I do love being babyface. Like I've been doing AllStar recently, and I'm always a babyface at AllStar, and I do really love it. But getting to be heel, I feel like something just clicked with me, and I feel like it's really resonated with a lot of people. Obviously, I made my Rev Pro debut, and I'm heel there, and I'm with Zoe and the Dream Dolls, and I feel like the matches I've had and the content I've been putting out, as you said, you haven't been able to be at them, but the content I've put online, I feel like something's just clicked, like the look, the character, the taunts, the moves, everything just works. And it's just, I mean, I've had all of lockdown to really think about it. So I was hungry. Like when I came out, I was ready. But I feel like something has just clicked. So I do enjoy both, but the glamour as a heel with Zoe is just something special, I think.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a hell of a little collaboration that is as a tag team, you two together, and I think that's definitely got huge legs to develop however you want it to. So yeah, but as you say, what the best thing about people like yourself has been over the lockdown period is the amount of content you've really embraced the whole YouTube and social media side of wrestling, and also the other content you put out on YouTube as well. And that's been great because, as I say, if you're not in the UK and not going to your events, you can still kind of find out who this person is and follow that career. So it's been fantastic seeing you embrace that to the level you have. You mentioned AllStar. That was one of the sort of matches I was going to ask you about. I was watching it on YouTube again last night. It was the England flag and the Italian flag against Monica Passeri. That was proper old school kind of heel baby face kind of stuff. How enjoyable was that, just to kind of have that play acting and everything that goes along with it?
I love doing AllStar. I feel like if you want to become good at working, you do AllStar because there are so many dates, and it's a great company to work for, but it is a typical wrestling crowd. I mean, I hate to use the term smart crowd, but when you work with Rev Pro and stuff like that, you can do the most typical bad guy things and people will be like, yeah, you just never know what you're going to get with them. Whereas with a kid, you're guaranteed to kind of get that basic psychology down, and the kids just love it. Like I always say wrestling, everyone can love wrestling, but for me, I love wrestling for kids because the enjoyment and entertainment they get out of it is just my favorite thing, whether you're a heel or a babyface. I did actually get to be heel once at AllStar recently, and that was very fun. Just the enjoyment they get out of it. They really argue and they cheer. And I remember like that exact match, like my finish was a crossbody, and as I was going up, they were like, quick before she gets up. You know what I mean? At Rev Pro, they'd never be like, quick before she gets up. They're very smart. Whereas with kids, they're just like, come on, like. But yeah, like I love doing that because I feel like it just taught me how to work. It taught me how to wrestle, and it just feels great. It's just such a good experience, and you really just learn to get comfortable in the ring. I felt like before I started working AllStar, I got so nervous to wrestle. It didn't feel like training. It all felt so much more complicated. And then once I did AllStar and I was just constantly doing it and had moments to stop and think in the ring, and things don't go to plan and you have to just figure it out there, I was like, oh, this is actually really easy and what I've been taught how to do. And it just really helped me get to that next level as a performer. And that match with Monica was just so much fun.
And that's the beauty of it. You obviously, you're gaining more confidence, and that will show because you'll be thinking less about the thoughts and the nerves that kind of come with stuff, and you'll be thinking more about how I'm just going with the flow here, telling the story, delivering. We have to talk a little bit about fan reactions in a minute and crowd reactions, but I just wanted to touch a couple of others, not just Monica, but obviously you were babyface against Lana Austin with DNA, and I really wanted to ask about Maddison Miles as well with World War Wrestling. They're obviously a very, very popular company, and great organizations. I wanted to find out a bit more about how you found those two to work for.
Yeah, so Lana, that was great because obviously Lana is like one of the top women, I would say, in the UK. And to get to wrestle, because I always feel like, you know, when you're learning, to get to wrestle someone who's so much more advanced, like a Nina, like a Lana, you're gonna learn so much, and they can really look after you and help you. And sometimes like, they even talk to you in there, and they'll tell you, you know, wait, or like go now, you know, like they'll guide you through things. So to get to wrestle Lana, and of course, she's a great heel, like, she's mean, so it just worked so well, and I felt like that match was a really big step up. And the same goes with Maddison. Like when I met Maddison, something that stood out to me was just like her work rate. Like she was just constantly like booked, and she was just giving me advice. She's like, you know, reach out to promotions, send them your content, you know, talk to them, like just try to get yourself out there. And she was like, I just messaged like these people, and she's working every weekend. And you know, she's another great heel. She's very mean too. But like just that match too, getting to work girls who were more advanced than me and could help me, and just give me advice too on outside of the ring, like how to kind of get out there a little bit more, because especially at that point I was just looking to get experience. I was so new, so I don't know promoters, I don't know how do you get bookings, how do you pursue this and that, and I'm kind of just figuring it out. So to get advice from people who were constantly working and stuff like that was amazing as well.
Yeah, it sounds great. Are you going to? I wonder. I'm looking forward to the day that you do the Lana Austin beer tilt onto a fan's head. I've seen Jessica do that once at an event when a fan kind of got a little bit too vocal, shall we say? And I really enjoyed that when I was watching that online, and it was like just seeing her tilt it onto someone's head. I'm looking forward to the day that the glamour pint comes. Probably, I don't know.
The glamour pint. It would be like a champagne glass or something.
Yeah, it'll have to be something a bit posher than just a plastic pint cup. But you know, we'll get to that at some point. Obviously, I can't go without speaking about you know, Rev Pro, because that seems to be taking you to the next level now in terms of main event status and that kind of thing. Your career's growing to that level. And Gisele, it's almost like this is your first proper feud in your career now. You had the Nina. You know, you had that because it was your first match and you wanted to get revenge on it. But now you've got this amazing storyline building with another incredible young hot talent that's in the UK, and Gisele. Bit of a conspiracy issue as well with one of the results, and you've launched the MAR, which I really love because I'm a big football fan. So obviously that was a nice little thing to have involved. How are you finding that? You know, how's that all going?
First of all, it was all going really well till you brought up Gisele. I hate Gisele. I hate Rev Pro. I hate Rev Pro officials. Last time I checked, I am owed a championship shot. This was all the way back in Manchester, which, by the way, amazing experience until the ref ruined it and my face was busted up. Amazing experience for my 50th match to get to wrestle in front of all those people. And since that point, it's just steadily gone downhill. Zoe isn't there. I haven't had my rematch. Zoe hasn't had her championship match. She won Queen of the Ring. She hasn't had a championship match. And I'm seeing like Hannah, I'm seeing Mizzy Evo, I'm seeing Alex Windsor all coming in. And I'm just waiting for my championship match and Zoe's championship match. So that's what I'm saying.
Do I need to edit a slight little minute of this out towards Andy and send it, put it out on separately and say, come on, sort it out?
Just tag, I think Rev Pro might have muted me. I think they've muted my Twitter. I think they have.
Okay, right. We'll have to start the campaign. Free the May. We'll have to find some sort of angle for you on it. But obviously, when you finally do get your title match, I am definitely going to make sure I'm there. I'm not missing out on that.
Yeah,
you've got to win. Surely.
I mean, I would have won, but Scott Bell can't count. So otherwise I would have literally won.
How difficult is that as a referee? Like, one of the things
counting to three, my niece is like 3 years old and she can count to 3. I don't know why it's so difficult.
But they also seem to struggle to count to 10 when people are outside. I notice quite a lot. They get a little bit distracted when they get to like 6 and 7 and then try and pretend that there's something distracting them, because they seem to struggle at that moment. I don't know what it is.
Though I do say that I would hate to be a ref, honestly, because it's one of those things I think people think is easy. If you've ever tried it, sometimes in training matches you try being a ref, oh my god, it's really hard. Like, you win, there's just so much to think about and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And clearly for Scott Bell it's a struggle, so
I love it. There's a match there coming to happen. No, I mean, I think, referees obviously play a huge importance to, all the elements. It's great when you hear the likes of, Steve Linsky and Mike Chioda talk about, how they're involved in the storylines and how they're involved in the matches themselves. But as I say, as a shoot, I think you've been screwed. So, we've got to sort that out and get
I think the
back.
fairest thing to do would be for Scott Bell to defend the women's championship for Gisele against me. I think that's the most natural, fair conclusion. And the guest ref as Zoe.
Ooh.
I think that's fair. And Gisele can just be banned from the whole arena. That would be great.
I'm looking forward to this. I will have to share some of this separately, I think, just to kind of get a bit more involvement on it. But it sounds good. So outside of obviously the issues with Rev Pro, because I better not mention them anymore before you start breaking things, what's the sort of events coming up, and who would you like to work for over the next few months?
Oh, so I've got quite a few different bits and pieces coming up. So I'm defending my United Championship for the first time. I won it, God, is it 2 years ago now? Were we in lockdown for a year? We were, weren't we?
Yeah, March 2020 until kind of earlier this summer. So
I think I won it. Yeah, like I won it over a year ago. So I finally get to defend it, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Cool.
I'm making a debut for EWE, which I've been waiting to do for a while. It just obviously with dates hasn't worked out. And then I'm making my debut for Slam Masters. I've got a few more bits with AllStar coming up. And I will be back at Rev Pro soon, but I'm not going back to Rev Pro until I have Zoe. When Zoe's not there, it goes wrong. So the way I see it, the dream does have to be together and with a championship shot. But I would love, there's a lot of places I want to wrestle and some things I have coming up that haven't been announced. Okay. So I can't say anything yet. But there's quite a few girls I do really want to wrestle as well. So I'm very excited.
And how would you sort of view the overall scene? Because obviously, thinking back 3 or 4 years ago, just as a fan training and getting ready to get into it, it seems to me that in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, it's just getting better and better and better in terms of the women's side of wrestling in the UK. Kind of almost don't want to call it women's wrestling, want to call it wrestling, because that's, the events seem to be based around it a lot more now than they ever used to be. How exciting is it that you've seen it grow even more in your 3 years so far of, minus a bit of lockdown, but in your career so far?
Lost half of it.
Yeah.
Stuck in the house.
Don't. At least you're undefeated with that title. That's all that matters. But
I've been champion for over a year.
Yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. You need to start, building that up. How exciting is it when you look at it and you think, not only have I got this list of people that I want to fight and wrestle with that I wanted to 3 years ago, I've now got all these others that are on the scene. Yeah,
it's really cool. I think it has definitely grown a lot. And you'll speak to wrestlers who have been around for years and they'll say how few girls there used to be compared to now. So it's definitely really cool how much it's grown. I will say after lockdown though, I feel like it's taken a massive hit. I'm from the South and I feel like there's loads of girls in the North. There's some really good girls up there. And there's a lot more of them. Whereas from the South, I remember a girl was unwell, she had COVID, and they're like, can you find a replacement? And I really struggled. I think I got to get 5 girls, and obviously between them on what days they were free, it was really tough. Whereas before lockdown, you would have had that spot filled in 5 minutes. So I do feel like between different commitments and some people maybe stepping away from wrestling, I do feel like it's taken a bit of a hit, but it's nothing that we can't fix. And I think so many people are really determined to kind of rebuild British wrestling and try and make it something new, which I think is important, because I don't think we should make it what it was before. I think we just try to all make names for ourselves. We tried to make it our own thing, rebuild, build new promotions, make things mean, because once upon a time, these great Rev Pro, once upon a time was just something small. Everything grows from somewhere. We all start somewhere, and of course the fans are amazing and they're supporting these smaller promotions coming up and they're still buying tickets to shows, and that's really important. And us as wrestlers, and especially women, because there is definitely less of us, we're just trying our best to really kind of build and make it mean something.
Yeah, Well, fair enough. That's you can tell you genuinely care about it, which is really cool as well. As I say, I don't speak for all fans on behalf of the world, but from my point of view as a fan, I love it when you go and you can just tell everyone's in a really great environment and they're really enjoying what they're doing, and you're sort of free to express a match. So, it's great to attend and watch. And one of my things I want to do is I want to get to Sheffield to watch one of the big tournaments when that's the sort of the all-women show as well there, and that's on my bucket list. So hopefully you'll be at one of those when I'm there as well. As I mentioned earlier, you obviously you know how to work crowds from both sides now because you're doing some hill work as well. How have you found working in terms of, you mentioned obviously there's a lot of girls in the north, so maybe that's a bit more you want to explore, but how have you found it when you go to a different company and you're working a crowd for the first time? What's your sort of, how do you sort of gauge it? Are you thinking I've got my character and I'm going to do that, and until someone reacts, I stick to it? Or are you going purely on instinct, right, what's going to work when I walk out?
I mean, I always stay true to the Glamour. Obviously, the Glamour has a babyface version and a heel version. And obviously, it's what the promoter wants as well, what kind of storyline we're looking at. But to me, it doesn't matter if I've worked somewhere before or if it's my first time. I always try and treat everything like they've never seen me before, because maybe they haven't seen you before. Like, it could be completely different people. I've worked the 229 venue, which is amazing, so many times. But you get different people, you get your regulars in there. Like, there's one woman who sits there and hates me. It's amazing. But you get different people in there, and so you have to make the experience special for everyone and act like they've never seen you before. So I don't think I've ever been first. So I normally try and just listen to other people's matches and kind of see what they react to and what they don't really care for, and try to shape it a little bit like that. But it is instinct. It is going out there and seeing, what naturally comes to you and what they react to. And you don't plan these interactions. You don't plan what they'll love and what they'll not care for. You just go with it. But I always stay true to the Glamour. Like, I never do anything cheap, because the Glamour's not cheap, but I always stay true to the Glamour. But you just have to figure out what they like and what they don't, and the things that they're really going for. That's what you do a lot of, because it's all about the fans, and it's all about the fans having a good time, heel or face.
Yeah, there you go. So, and then that leads nicely onto the fact that not only do you do a lot with your social media, but you've designed obviously some great merchandise. How enjoyable an experience is that when you're putting ideas together and bringing stuff out that fans want to buy?
Oh, it's so cool, because I'm so creative, but it's the technical aspect of everything. I love to teach myself as much as possible. So I've really taught myself, for example, with YouTube, I've taught myself how to my own hair and makeup, how to record it, how to edit it. I do all of that by myself. But graphic design, I can't do. Sometimes you try and you just have to accept that people are specialists at certain things. And I love learning and I love to teach myself different things. But when it's my merchandise, this is something that fans are buying. I really want it to be as special as possible for them. So I actually started working with Over Design, who was amazing. They've done stuff with Trish Stratus and the Young Bucks, and their work is everywhere. So I'm I feel very special. But we've worked together now, gosh, since my debut. So he really knows my branding and the Glamour and who I am. And we just discuss a lot of different ideas. I'll find inspiration from things that are nothing to do with wrestling, because I feel like with wrestling, you get a lot of people repeating things, kind of making their own slogan on someone else's merch. So for me, I try to look elsewhere for inspiration and kind of make it my own. And I feel like the Glamour is quite different from everyone else. I don't feel like too many people, everyone in wrestling is heavy metal, punk, edgy. And I'm just here I'm the Glamour. And I think that's actually an advantage because it stands out. And I think you can see that in a lot of my various merchandise that has come out over the years.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's connected to your character, which is great. And I think that's what you want. It's an extension of you. So as a fan, if I'm going to wear a t-shirt of yours, it's got to be something that actually makes sense, rather than it just be oh look, I've got a t-shirt with a name on, which is not the best. I like it when there's a bit of character to them, which is great.
Yeah.
Obviously social media, I'll put all the links underneath in terms of everything people could follow. They're probably already, anyone who's watching this is probably already subscribed to your YouTube channel, but YouTube, you do lots, not just wrestling highlights from wrestling clips. You, like you mentioned earlier, you do you've got your makeup and your tutorials, things like that. It's another side of you completely. How do you describe your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is a slice of my chaotic life. Being a wrestler, being an independent wrestler is such a journey. So I always try to share like as much of that, from my training videos to my workouts to shows, like vlogs of the day, the travel, highlights, matches. But I like sharing my life. I feel like we're so lucky in today's generation. I know social media has a lot of flaws. I would be the first to tell you that. But one of the positives is you can really make a name for yourself. And if you want to do something, you can create that content and put it out there. You don't need to know somebody. You don't need to pay a lot of money for something or a course or anything like that. If you have a passion for something, so say if you were really good at makeup, which I'm not, but say like if you were like, you know, you wanted to be a makeup artist, you can make your own videos and you can put them out, and there's a chance that like millions of people could see them. And I just think that's so cool, because you don't need to know someone and you don't need a special connection or anything like that. You could do that from the ground up. So I just think, to have that access today, why not take advantage of it? Obviously I'm a wrestler, so you are in the public eye, and that's a side that I'm very happy to have shown. So for me, my YouTube is all about sharing my life, and it's vlogs, fashion videos, gaming. I love gaming. I'm not good at it, but I really enjoy it, and it's a fun time. And I just love sharing that and putting as much of that out there as possible, and just giving my fans more to connect to.
Yeah, which is great. And it's different aspects of your life that people can, you know, follow, rather than, they might not be a wrestling fan, but they might like you for your content that you make as well.
It is funny because there's a game called Animal Crossing, which is literally like Sims but for animals. And like I had someone come on my channel, they're like, they commented on a wrestling video and they're like, do you know what, I've never watched wrestling in my life, I'm an Animal Crossing fan and I'm here for your Animal Crossing videos, but I'm really getting into this.
Amazing. There you go. You're going to convert more people, get the gamers into wrestling. That's great news. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of games. Not as good as I used to be at them, and I definitely don't call myself a gamer. And yeah, I'm not doing a makeup tutorial anytime soon. Probably the let's just keep stubble on my face tutorial might be about as good as it gets from my side of stuff. It'd be remiss of me not to talk a little bit about the Rumble in Phoenix, because obviously you were there at the same time I was there, and I'm sure, I think I remember seeing on a social, I've been to one Mania and one Rumble, and I was at Mania New Orleans. Was that where you went?
yes.
There you go.
Which one was it though?
WrestleMania 34.
Yes.
Yeah. Reigns and Lesnar.
Are you following me?
Clearly, I've been to 3 things at the same time as you, or 3 cities at the same time as you. So that's technically following. But yeah, so it'd be remiss not to ask you about those experiences. And as I say, you know, Phoenix, Arizona, one of my favorite places to go.
Yeah, just amazing. Like I'd been to Raw and SmackDown when they've come to the UK, so they come to the O2. And I remember, like, when I was younger, I didn't think it was real. So like I didn't realize they actually came to the UK. So when I was older and I was really getting into it, I remember I brought it up to my brother, and like my brother's just, you know, he's just the charmer, and he managed to convince my whole family, because I think I was like 15. He managed to convince my whole family to get tickets like a week before. So I've been to a couple of events like that, and I love them. I love wrestling. I love WWE. And me and my friend, who she loves WWE too, we go to the events together, and we just said it one day, you know, we just like, should we just go to America? Like, should we just commit to it and do it? And like the more we thought about it, we just set our hearts on it. So we got the travel package, which gives you like Raw, SmackDown, Mania access, all that fun stuff. And oh my god, like if you've never done a Mania week, and also the Rumble as well, because they kind of make like a Rumble week now, which never used to be a thing. But if you've never done one of them, I really can't recommend it enough. I'd love to go again. But I just had an amazing time. Like going to America was always really cool. And just like getting to go with my friend, and we just got to like just see all these wrestlers. Oh god, it was amazing. And then yeah, the Rumble, the tickets were like a bargain. So so the Mania was planned, right? Mania, I saved up, we planned it, we dreamt about it, it was the best thing that's ever happened. And then me and my friend, we were just like, one night, like the tickets popped up, and I sent them to her. I went, they're really cheap, because you could get Rumble and then you got Raw and SmackDown. And I was like, that's a bargain, you know. And the next day they were still there, and we were just like, do we just do it? And we literally just like went for it, and that was so fun, right? Like that was just, I've never been to a Rumble before, so like to see like a Rumble, like, oh was amazing. It's like a childhood thing, because growing up, my favorite pay-per-view was always the Rumble. I just loved it. I thought it was so, because you get to see all of the wrestlers, so I thought it was the best one. And I obviously didn't know I had my debut, so my spontaneous decision. When I come back and 3 days later, I'm like, okay, I'm like living my childhood dreams today. So yeah, I've never been. They're just the best thing ever. I really want to go again, but obviously with the pandemic and stuff like that, just haven't really been able to.
No, but obviously with manias now, obviously before the pandemic happened, a lot of manias, there's a lot of British talent that work in the towns around it, and they put a lot of independent shows on. So you never know, the next time you go, you might end up being, it might be part
well,
of
I'm hoping working. So. Yeah, that's kind of my goal. Yeah.
But going as a fan, I mean, obviously, what incredible motivation. I mean, you can't, they put on a show, regardless of what anyone says. I don't tend to criticize too much things, because I don't own it, I don't write it, they do whatever they like. I might not like it, I can moan if I want to moan, but I'm not going to be overcritical. But when it comes to putting on a show, you can't beat what they put on, what WWE put on. And even like you said, the access. I mean, that's
because like, so this is before I, like, obviously I was starting to train for the New Orleans one, and then the Rumble was just before my debut. So I was like, I guess like just a fan, really, in the sense I've never had a match. But like, even as a wrestler, I would absolutely love to go and just enjoy it as a fan. Because like, the reason I'm a wrestler is because I love wrestling. Like, I love sitting and watching it. And I have to say, like, the whole spectacle of it, because for me with access, I didn't want to meet anyone, but the tickets came with it. But the setup, they have access, they have all the different like bits and pieces from the pay-per-views, and then they have the NXT Superstars wrestling as well, which was like, oh my god, free wrestling. But yeah, like, even as a wrestler now, of course I'd love to go to Mania week and get to do some of the independents. I think that's definitely a goal of mine. But obviously with COVID still, I'm not sure how things will shape up, but I would love to do that. But I would absolutely love to go to just watch Mania as a fan. And obviously now we have AEW too, which really over the pandemic, funnily enough, has really become huge. I'd love to see AEW, because I've never really had a chance to do that. I think they were meant to come to the UK actually before, literally just as COVID hit. So I would love to see that, and even more so in America, because it just feels like extra special because you're like on holiday. But I'd really like to see AEW as well.
I think that's one of the things, obviously, like the, great career motivation for you, because that American crowd is totally different, because they get it all year round. They get live shows, like, on a different level to our live shows. Our live shows are great matches and great wrestling and great promoters, but the crowd sizes aren't what you get when you get like the American, some of the big American shows. But hopefully, you never know, in the next year or so, I'm hoping to be flying over and seeing it'll be you working for these companies. That's obviously the main sort of goals. But no, I just thought I'd have to ask your opinions on them, because obviously, it's just random that we were at the same ones. Obviously, I know
that is crazy.
It was like that event and that event. Now, the only two I've gone to in America, and there you go, lo and behold. But there you go. So yeah, no, loved the Rumble in Phoenix. I think it was one of the best weeks I've ever done over there. It was everything was so easy. Luckily, like my friend who I mentioned who came to your match, he's been to quite a few, and very lucky. He told me how lucky it was that New Orleans and Phoenix, everything was on top of each other
in one place. Yeah, because people who went to New York were like, oh, everything is so spread out, and I was thinking, I just walked everywhere. Like New Orleans, I just walked, and it was beautiful weather, wasn't it? It was all sunny and amazing.
We went alligator watching on the last, before we flew back. We went on a little boat ride around that. So
oh my god,
good fun. That was good fun. Amazing places. But
yeah, it's cool.
Absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I appreciate it. I can't keep you on all night. Cool. One thing I've got to ask you, because I don't know, I need to check with this. Sky and you, have you ever had a match? I don't think you have you?
I don't think we have.
You've been might have been in a match. You might have been in the ring at some
I'm trying to think if we've ever done like a rumble or anything. I don't think we have.
Okay.
No, we've been at a lot of shows together, but we've never fought each other.
Yeah, I love Sky to bits. So that's what I want to see. I want to see Glamour versus the drop kicks or the biceps. I don't know what she's going to call herself now, but that's what I want to see. So it's in May, main event.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Like you say, the music taste is very different. Be interesting.
We're literally like yin and yang. We're complete opposites. I think, but I love that. I think that works best.
You could be the new Rock and Sock connection. Total opposite, but it works.
It was funny though, because me versus Sky, like at like an AllStar, like a very much family show, she has to be the heel and I have to be the goodie. But at like an indie show, I think like people would like Sky more than me, so I'd have to be the heel. So it's an interesting one like that, isn't it? How depending on the crowd, they might like different people. Like you guys have no taste, for example, and you like Sky, so you should like the Glamour.
Okay, cool. We're going to call this out. It's good. I'm gonna have to do my best Eddie Hearn impression and do this promotion. It's good. It's great. Well, as I say, I hope the match happens, because it'd be great to come and see you guys competing against each other, and I will come and see you soon. Thank you very, very much for your time. It's an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Really cannot speak highly enough of your work so far. It's been great seeing it develop. And it's amazing how quickly you're developing it as well. So as a fan, thank you for everything you're doing, and good luck with everything coming up. Let's hope you get your Rev Pro title match, because that'll be quite good. Yeah, thank you again for your time, and I look forward to coming and seeing you in person soon.
Thanks so much for having me, and thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that.
It's all right. Once you stop recording, I'll just insult you. It's fine, for kicking off about the Sky thing. No, I'm joking.